Hello, Davison here. We are broadcasting live today discussing the contentious issue of girl gamers. I'm here with Shokio, who made a video attacking essentially the type of girl gamers who show off their cleavage in YouTube videos to gain subscribers because he believes these type of girls misrepresent real girl gamers. So Shokio, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Now, where I wanted to start is that I originally reacted to your video after seeing it once and finding it on Reddit's Cringe. And I don't know if you're familiar with Reddit. Are you familiar with Reddit?
I know of it, but I've never been there. But I know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, well, Cringe is a portion of the site where people post videos that the video creators should be ashamed of having made, or videos that induce this kind of cringe response. So automatically I went into your video assuming that I would cringe at what you had to say. And like I said, I only watched it once, but I was sort of confused by your message because you started out by talking about girl gamers and casuals, and then your discussion gradually morphed into your criticism of the sexy girl gamer genre. So that, I think, is why my first video response might not have touched on your points in the way that it should have, and why I think I misinterpreted you to a certain extent. I think had you started with saying this video is about the sexy girl gamer genre and I want to discuss why I think they misrepresent females in the gaming industry, I would have understood your points more. But because it sort of seemed like you were even debating what it meant to be a gamer altogether, I got confused. So where I wanted to start was, I think we need to go through the different terminology to describe gamers and go through it point by point. And my belief is that the dictionary definition, to go there, of a gamer is a person who games. So it doesn't matter if you play one game or 50 games. If you play a game, you're a gamer. Why do you think that that's not the case?
I think it's not the case because you said it yourself. You had mentioned in your video, being a gamer has nothing to do with your gender. It's about your passion. You said it yourself. That's your words. So, and that's exactly what my point is. I feel that if you have a passion for a hobby, particularly gaming being this case, then you would want to play more than one game. Because playing one game, that's not necessarily passion for the hobby. That's just passion for that one game. And gamers, they play more than one games. Gamers play games with an S at the end, not an E, So that's why I feel like you need to play more than one game to be considered a gamer.
Well, I think the confusion lies between interpreting the word gamer as representing someone who plays games versus gamer as meaning a hardcore gamer, because that's really what you're talking about. You want to take the term gamer and only apply it to people who are really committed to the whole world of gaming.
Well, even casual gamers themselves will still play, more than, one game, whether it be 2 or 3, but it's still more than one. But yeah, a lot of the time in that video when I did say gamer, I did mean hardcore gamer. I wasn't saying they're not gamers in general, but see, and that's the thing. And a lot of people understood it, but I guess that's another thing you misunderstood. When I was talking about these girls going around calling themselves gamers, it's the fact that they make them out to be, these hardcore gamers. You see what I mean? But if they, let's say, you're a girl, you're showing your cleavage, you play Call of Duty, whatever. Oh yeah, I like to game, I like playing Call of Duty. I have nothing to say to you, but then when you have girl gamer, oh, I'm just so hardcore taking pictures of all my controllers and stuff, like I have all this, gaming history, although I started, gaming like 1 year ago, stuff like that, then that's the, you see what I'm saying? That is the fail in my eyes, and that is the misrepresenting.
Yeah, because I think that's what you're presenting is the misrepresentation of the sexy girl gamer genre content as being equivalent to your type of technical or thorough gaming commentary. And I agree with you that those two genres or styles are not the same thing. But that is not to say that these sexy girl gamers don't have the right to choose to create sexy gaming content, because I believe they do. Why do you think that they don't have the right to be sexy and game for the sake of creating an entertainment product on YouTube?
Well, it's a free country, free internet. They do have the right. It's not necessarily, I'm saying what they're doing, it should be illegal or anything like that. It's just basically, you know, it's basically has to do with my morals and what I feel is appropriate, and what's not. And it's funny because and this has nothing to do with you, but it's funny because I've actually had like two people do, video responses like calling me gay, because why wouldn't you want to see, girls with cleavage? It's like, oh, because, somebody has, a moral code, and they have some humanity to them, and, decency to them, and they feel a certain way about what is appropriate and what not, what's not. That doesn't mean I think what they're saying is illegal or things of that nature. I just think that as a lady, as a woman, you should respect yourself more than that, than to use your body to get money like that, and in that way, in that manner, and then to use a industry which you're not really into, you're just into Call of Duty, but to use that as a gateway, and when you use that as a gateway, you are putting a bad face onto us gamers. You see what I mean?
Well, like you said, this is a moral debate, because in my morality, being a sex-positive feminist, and feminist is not a dirty word, young men. It does not mean I hate men. It does not mean that I am gay. I love boys. It just means that I'm fighting for equality and, in my case, openness. Feminists don't always even agree about what constitutes the proper representation or freedoms of women. But in my case, I don't see these girls as doing anything immoral by using their sexual power to gain attention and money. I see it as merely a choice and an expression of their sexuality. So, Shok, you and I are never going to agree on that, because your morality is different than mine. But what I want to accomplish in all of this is for people to stop attacking them and calling them stuff like sluts. And like you in your video, the reason why you lost me a little bit is because you said the word bitch like 13 times.
Another time.
Yeah, and so then you sort of lost me on the upstanding moral argument of women shouldn't just think that they need to show their boobs in order to get attention. Because honestly, it's, in my mind, it's not that absolute. It's not, just because you're a sexy girl gamer, that doesn't mean that that then applies to all women in the gaming industry. It's not tits or GTFO, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just means that I want women to have the choice. If they choose to create that kind of content, let them create that kind of content, but don't stigmatize them and call them sluts or whores. Why would you call these women sluts or whores?
Well, if you actually go back to either video, both I did, I never flat out said these girls are sluts. I always said they're acting or exhibiting slut-like behavior, and that's actually, a direct quote, from my video. And in my first video, I actually stated, like, I said this myself. I was like, oh, because they're doing these things on YouTube, that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing it in real life. You see what I mean? So I never meant to relay, the thought that I'm thinking, oh, these women just going around, just having sex with all these dudes. No, it's not that. Like I said, it's just the hoish behavior. And, I mean, I just don't see how, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I just don't understand how somebody could say, using your body for attention and money. I mean, yeah, you have the right to that. You can do it if you want. But how do you not see the sleaziness in that? You know what I mean? What would you think of if there was a girl, walking around in public, obviously, trying to get guys to, look at her like that? Like, that's promiscuous, And with random people they don't even know, and then getting money from it. Now, people would say that those girls are like this in person, but why is it any different that they come on YouTube on camera? You see what I'm saying? They're still doing the same thing, and to a wider audience than if they were to do it in person.
Well, they're not actually making themselves physically available on YouTube. In my mind, it's
obviously
largely no. So that throws the whole notion of sluttiness out the window, because there's no actual physical contact. Plus, like I said before, and I want to get back to this, the word slut and whore and hoe only exist because people want to morally shame women who choose to make their bodies as sexually available as they see fit. That's applying a moral standard that women should be more conservative with whom they allow sexual access to their bodies. And I think that these words don't have any merit. prostitute and whore should be replaced with sex worker. The words themselves have a negative, pejorative value that I want to see dismissed.
Oh, so you
Not
think
everyone's going to agree with me, though.
you don't see the problem with prostitution? You think that's okay?
No, it's fine. I don't think all girls need to or should be prostitutes. I think there's definitely drawbacks to choosing that profession, much like there are drawbacks to choosing to be a sexy girl gamer, because eventually that jig is going to run out in, say, I don't know, 20 years when these women are, say, less attractive, and they haven't focused on building skills that are eternal, such as developing thorough knowledge about multiple games. So I don't think it's the best choice a woman can make, but I'm fighting for her right to make that choice and to not be labeled a whore for it.
Okay, well, the thing is, and like this right here, this isn't really a matter of morals or opinions or whatever, but the reason why prostitution is wrong is because there are actual factual, merits to it. It is a detriment to society. You're spreading, STDs around. You have women, trying to take, an easy way out instead of getting a proper education and contribute to society, things of that nature. And it could carry down, and that's the thing, it could carry down to the younger generations, like, oh, I'm struggling, or I don't have the money for school, I can't get a good paying job, let me just throw my body out on the street instead of trying to make something of myself and getting a real job. So the problem there is a factual problem with prostitution. It is a blight on society.
I don't fully agree with you. I partially agree with you. I think it's problematic, but there will never stop being a demand for prostitutes. And in continuing to stigmatize it, you actually put these prostitutes in front of more problems, such as abusive pimps, or them needing to hide the fact that they were raped by the man paying for their sexual services, or that they were beaten. If it was legalized, then it would be respected, and then they would have legal recourse. Like, we both know this. Prostitution is the world's oldest profession, right? So it's not going to go away, even if we try to shame it into non-existence.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
Are you done? Okay.
No. Yeah, we can go back to
okay.
Because now we're going on a tangent. Because
okay, yeah. One last thing.
We're debating sort of about a form of sex work being the sexy girl gamer genre. So continue.
But one more thing about this particular topic was like your last point before this one. You said that it's not slut-like behavior, or it's not hoish because there's no physical contact involved. So, girl who does a video on a porn site which is in there masturbating, nobody's touching her, that's not hoish in your eyes?
No, because again, like I said, I want to get rid of those terms altogether. She's just being a sex worker in that case. And what do you mean by hoish? She's too sexually available to too many people?
No, well, the point I'm making is that you don't need to have physical contact to exhibit, hoish behavior. You don't need to physically touch somebody for that to be wrong. You see what I mean? If you are putting your vagina just out there to the world, that is demoralizing yourself. That is having no respect for yourself like that, especially if your body is nude. You don't see the problem with a girl being on a porn site like that? That's okay?
I believe that is a valid career choice. I didn't say it's the best one. I believe that it's a valid one, and I would like to replace the use of hoe, and I'm being very repetitive, with sex worker. She's exhibiting her skills or her offerings as a sex worker. She's not exhibiting hoe-like behavior.
Well, what do prostitutes do? They use their body for money. That doesn't require physical contact. It's not exactly the same thing because, like you said, there's no physical contact, but it's still in the same vein. Don't you agree?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Oh, I was saying prostitution is exploiting your body, for money. Plain and simple. That's it. You give their body, they give you money. That's it. There's no other, cause or meaning behind it or anything like that. If you take out the physical contact, it's still the same thing. You're still just using your body for money. It's in the same vein.
Yes, you are using your body for money.
But you see both of those as okay, so that's really not a point you really care to refute, basically.
Exactly. So okay, so I want to move us back to
gaming.
To gaming, exactly. And girl gamers versus female gamers versus what you said, which is a real girl gamer doesn't have to brag about it. I think the term girl gamer came up because traditionally women didn't game. So you had to let people know your gender as a way of saying that women actually game. So you have to be like, no, dude, I am a girl gamer. Like, we exist. Though now it has morphed into something different, especially with the added confusion of the sexy girl gamer genre. So do you think that the term girl gamer, now that we have reached the point where everyone knows that anyone can game, that we should drop the gender descriptor from gamer altogether?
And that's one of the points I made in my video. You know, your gender has nothing to do with your gaming status. And you said that, you know, back in the day, a lot of women didn't use the game. That's true. But it's 2013 now. It is common. You're saying it's commonplace. It's not a rarity anymore to see a girl gaming. So what is the point of saying girl gamer? That's to draw people to your channel and to show them your tits so you can make money off of them, pretty much. Like, you don't see me saying, oh, I'm a black gamer, you know, like, no, I'm just a gamer, you know, but my gender, my race has nothing to do with it.
I agree with you. Now, I want to take this then away from the girl gamer thing to what I think is almost like an equivalent situation to the problem that people had with the reply girls. Do you remember the reply girls?
Yeah, I remember the reply girls.
Who would essentially get their chests up into the camera and they create almost non-existent content and then benefit financially from it.
Exactly.
Why do so many people on YouTube? I mean, I get the reply girls in the sense that it was manipulative and they didn't say anything in their videos for the most part. They mostly just drew the attention to their cleavage. So it was manipulative from like a financial standpoint. Though, I mean, they had the right, in my opinion, to do that because I think anything on YouTube is fair game. However, I think it's different for the sexy girl gamer genre because they are creating a product that provides sexual relief for certain men. And so why is this threatening to you?
Wait, you said the reply girls are offering a product for sexual relief?
Sorry, I meant the sexy girl gamers. I had segued. Sorry, I had segued to the sexy girl gamers. See, because the reply girls, their content wasn't that engaging or useful. However, sexy girl gamers do offer a little bit more. They are still doing these gaming. They are still doing
at least talking about something, yeah.
And they are talking about something, and they are providing a product for which there is a demand, or they wouldn't have so many subscribers. So why are you threatened by that genre? It doesn't impact your genre. You guys are not making the same kinds of content.
So you're saying why am I not getting on reply girls and just the girl gamers?
What? No. I'm saying forget the reply girls. Why are YouTubers in general opposed to women who use their sexuality to gain attention and subscribers on YouTube?
Well, I mean, you said you understood, you know, like in the beginning of this debate, you know, it's all about how I feel that it's misrepresentation. It's as simple as that. And another thing is that these girls, they set up expectations for guys for the other girls who don't do this. For instance, you know, my girlfriend, she does videos here on YouTube, and a couple of other, you know, girls we have in this community, they do videos. People go to their videos all the time. Where's the tits? Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a woman. The reason why they do this, the reason why they come to these, what I consider, you know, real gamers, is because of what they see first from the bigger, you know, tit show and Call of Duty girls, and so they take those same, you know, expectations and standards, and they expect it from these other girls that aren't like that, and then they come onto their videos and they disrespect them because of what these other boob showing COD girls do.
Well, I think you can't win as a woman online, right? You don't show boobs, then you're an ugly intellectual. You show boobs, and then you're a whore. So, regardless of what the sexy girl gamers
Nobody's gonna call somebody ugly just because they don't show boobs.
I get called ugly because I believe, intellectual, or because I offer threatening points to common beliefs. So they try to pick at whatever they think they can in order to discredit me.
But I mean, But your question was, why do you have a problem, with these girls
Yeah,
doing what they're
yeah,
doing? I
because you
explained.
think
So
that
do you agree with what I said?
well, you just said you think that their influence is negative on all girl gamers because then it pollutes what it means to be a girl gamer.
Exactly. So you're
I
going to counter that, or?
Well, no, I'm thinking about it. I think that people can compartmentalize and that people should start compartmentalizing, going, the sexy girl gamer is one thing, women who do gaming commentary is another thing. The two are not equivalent. Both have their valid reasons for existing, and the gaming community itself should separate these products and not globally turn
That's
right.
what I was trying to do.
Okay, well then we're agreeing, which is a good thing. Like, that's why we're having this debate, I think, in a way, for you to clarify your points and for me to clarify mine. Because your first video was a little inflammatory, so it was very difficult for me to understand where you were
A
coming from.
lot of people just got caught up in the fact that I was yelling.
Yeah, well, it's harder to get your message through when you drop the B bomb and the S bomb and the W bomb and the.
It's all for presentation value.
I know.
Because that's a thing. Like, you understand because you're a YouTuber, but
Yes.
like all these other people who don't do videos, they came to that video. Oh, dude, why are you so angry and stuff? It's like, you really think off camera, I was just fuming about this, just foaming at my mouth. Like, no, it's for entertainment. It's exaggerated distaste is pretty much what that was.
But
But
so
I think you should have caught that because I mean, you just said yourself that you understood that, and you do YouTube videos, so.
No, but I needed to make the point because I keep not understanding why people resent women who choose to behave in a sexy way on YouTube. Can someone answer that question for me? Like, why?
I just explained to you the
You did, no,
problem.
you did, because you think that it negatively impacts the
The
reputation
other
of
girls,
all
yeah.
female gamers, because it makes everyone believe that all female gamers need to be sexualized when that is not the case. But I think that's a separate issue. If we are able then to assume that these two sets of people are totally different, if you don't like that kind of content, don't watch it. It doesn't have to impact your perception of other female gamers. It doesn't.
It does. I mean, take that up with them, but I mean, it does. And the reason why is because these other girls. And it's as simple as that. And there's really no debating that. I mean, that's just simply how it is. Like, I agree with you. They shouldn't be thinking, oh, since they're like this, they're like this. But my point is, they do. And the reason why is because these sexy girl gamers.
I don't think it's that simple. I think there's also a certain degree of like intolerance that naturally certain men have towards women.
Girls who game.
Yes, girls who game and towards women who voluntarily use their sexuality for attention because then they feel as if they're being manipulated. But I don't think they're manipulating their viewer base any more than Justin Bieber is manipulating the teenage girls who are in love with him, right? Because
The people he signed with.
Yes, Usher.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But
So
oh, go ahead.
I guess I call on the people watching and the young men watching this to ignore the type of girls that create sexy content if they don't think that it's appropriate, and to stop calling them whores and instead reframe it in their minds as these girls are sex workers and that's the choice that they've made, and as women they are allowed to make that choice, and that doesn't make them any less valuable or in a way any less feminist, because to be a feminist isn't one specific thing. And then if they want to support girl gamers, or as we're dropping, as we both agree we should even drop girl from the beginning
Yeah.
of gamer, to support gamers, focus on that content, subscribe to that content, push that content in the media, get these girls interviewed.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions for me? Because I think I've made the majority of the points that I wanted to make.
I actually do have one question, and it's not actually related to the debate, but what was up with that non-visible art? Like, I want to hear about that. Please tell me.
Well, I actually am not at liberty to really discuss that at length. What I can say is that I completed a project between 2009 and 2011 where I completed 100 different jobs for a minimum of $100 each. And at that time in 2009, social media had just taken off, really, especially with Twitter. So I saw the value of social media stories. And I was heading towards the end of my 100 Jobs project, and I saw the value in perpetuating stories in the media, and saw that James Franco was launching this very controversial Kickstarter project where you didn't buy physical pieces of art, rather you bought the description of the piece of art, so it was conceptual art. And I knew that the public would not necessarily understand what conceptual art is, and it was a really interesting story to be broadcast on social media platforms. So I invested in it, knowing that people would be like, this girl is crazy.
Crazy.
But I was entitled to a lot. Like, I would have ostensibly met James Franco. I was entitled to go to an after party. I was supposed to get the title card.
Oh, so that opened up a gateway for you to do all those things.
Yes, and
okay, I understand now.
I was entitled to a title card with the description of the artwork, which, as an art collector, I could have then resold after the whole thing wrapped.
Yeah, okay.
I felt. And then I ended up getting nothing. They had 6 months with my $10,000 to deliver me what I was entitled to. They didn't have the after party. I asked them multiple times. They kept giving me delivery dates that never happened. I even worked for them. I was trying to get them a primary sponsor, and nothing happened. So I got refunded my money, because I think it's just even irresponsible as an artist if you're given a grant not to deliver what you're supposed to within 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I just had to ask you about that, because when I read that, I was like,
what?
This moment is crazy. Like, I was like, there has to be some good reasoning behind this. That's why I had to ask you. But that's pretty much all I want to say regarding the debate, since you pretty much ended up agreeing with what I was saying in the first place. So I guess there's nothing else to really discuss. So if you want to end it now, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I guess we should just both have our final word. So I want to implore young men to stop calling women whores just because they choose to be sexy, and to replace whore in your mind, as I said multiple times, with sex worker. And that if you want to encourage women to pursue other types of gaming careers, then only focus on those women and leave those other women who choose to be sexy alone.
All right, I have no closing statements. I said everything I wanted to say, so.
Well, thank you very much, Shokio. This was very pleasant, and I wish you a good day.
All right, you too, Ms. Davison.
Bye, guys.